Hey, hey, welcome to today's topic in Translation Tuesday on my YouTube channel and also in this video. And my name, if we have not met yet, is Michelle, and I work as the soul translator and have the Empowered Empath Soul Camp. So I work with empaths, sensitives, and spiritual entrepreneurs to be able to truly be in alignment with their soul's genius, with their empathic and energetic health, and then to be able to bring our gifts out and create the lives and the livelihoods that we desire. So today we're going to do a little bit more of a deep dive. Oh, and by the way, excuse this like blue hue, look a little bit kind of like ghostly washed out. I'll give you a little peek. I live literally on the water right over there. I'm in a floating home. And on overcast days like today, it just does this kind of like blue watery, green watery kind of hue. Anyway, so let's talk about money. A little bit of a different topic here. However, we need to talk about the stuff, and it's all energy, and it's essential to talk about the energy of money as well. So I wanted to share this really big epiphany I had. This is a bit more of a personal share today. And not that I hide anything. For those who know me know I'm pretty transparent and wear my emotions and energies on my sleeve for sure. But in the sense of, a little bit of more of a public kind of reveal of some inner workings, I'm bringing this up and sharing this because I really feel very passionate about this subject, and I do a lot of this in my work and love to empower myself and others around how we work with the energies of everything, particularly our self-care and our self-awareness, and also around our manifestation miracles and money. So, where to begin? All right. I have been in a women's group, primarily women's group, for a couple years now with the wonderful Denise Duffel-Thomas, who has the Money Boot Camp. It used to be called Lucky Bitch Money Boot Camp, but now is the Money Boot Camp. And been working on the issues and the mindsets and the care and the enoughness around money and business and being who I am, or all the other women as well in the group, is truly being empowered, financially empowered women. And she's very into the idea, has been bringing this out more and more over the years, which is very similar to what the Dalai Lama said about the Western woman being the ones who will save the future. And I know that that is a huge statement, and for those of us who resonate with it, it's not meant to be any sort of feminist or excluding to men. I want to talk about this not briefly, because we're going to do a deep dive here, actually. I want to talk about this in the video here on a deeper level. So I absolutely agree. I absolutely believe in, the work that Denise is doing, and that all sorts of women are doing around the spiritual and material empowerment of women. There is definitely an uprising and a rising of reclaiming our powers in many different ways. And I want to suggest here something around this whole idea. And here's more of a personal share. I was raised by a very entrepreneurial, very driven father, and we lived all over the world. And my mother was very much of the kind of classic stay-at-home mom, who also stunted a lot of her own philanthropic and creative desires because of being in a different generation, and also because of being kind of held down by the patriarchy, and also because of a lack of belief in her self, a lack of support around her to be able to truly be her best self, and to birth and live some of her dreams, her creative and she was very philanthropic in her thinking, and you know, just a beautiful, beautiful soul. I've lost both of my parents young, and I miss them very, very much, and they taught me so much. And one thing that I have been unraveling for years is the mindset, many of the mindsets, but also primarily because of what I'm sharing here in this video, this idea around money and masculinity, the money and the patriarchy. This idea of that money is something to get, something to acquire. And there can be a lot of push and tension and conflict in that kind of like, I've got to be very masculine and take or, you know, pursue and conquer and get what I feel is mine to have. And the deeper level of this for me personally is that very pursuit was the thing that completely obliterated my family on many levels. So growing up in a family where our wealth was going up and down, where the instability from that pursuit of wealth and richness and materiality was really disrupting to our family. And for me as well, growing up, being an empath and sensitive, also being raised in alcoholism, it was very unsettling. You know, yeah, I got to see the world. There's so many wonderful things about my childhood. And there's also these things, like all of us, that we work through the damage and trauma that things had caused, and the beliefs and mindsets and the sense of self and worthiness that have come from those things. So now this idea of how I relate to that kind of money-getting, money-making energies has been really conflicted, to be totally transparent. And I hope that this is useful to you. I hope that this sparks some food and energy for thought for you. Because what I've realized is the pursuit of money in any sort of masculine type of energy is a total turnoff for me, emotionally, physically, energetically, spiritually, because of what I've seen it do, not only in my family, but also in the world. I mean, we can't deny that the patriarchal pursuit for dominance has really screwed up our environment and our social systems and our medical systems. You know, this overarching, domineering energy of control and taking what's mine and not having more of a future-based or collective, organic, holistic approach has put us into some pretty dire situations in our environment, and also in you know, the women's equality and racism and all of these different things. Any sort of paradigm that has this I am over you versus next to you is really going to be creating a lot of disharmony. No duh, right? Yeah, and what I would like to offer here is a realization that I have had recently as a sensitive, as an empath, as an energetic and spiritually sensitive person, and also growing in my personal growth and spiritual growth, continually growing. What I realized was my energetic resistance to money has been because it's been in this more masculine mindset for me. And when I feel like when I really look at money, when I look underneath it, and I look at the energy of it, oh my goddess, it is such a feminine energy. When you think about like how we, let's say, for example, all of the entrepreneurism and all of the women in business and all of the rising of that, and people having small businesses and medium-sized and big businesses that are based more on sustainability, that are based on more soul sustainability, and being who we are in the world and making a life and livelihood based on our soul strengths, our talents and gifts that are individual and unique to each of us. You know, that whole energy starts with the conception of an idea, with receiving something, whether that's inspiration or new ideas, or having to be in a place where you need to rebirth yourself because your life is just not working, and you're working against life and yourself versus flowing with. The beginning of all of these ideas around health, wealth, well-being begin in a feminine place. They begin in this place of a birth, of something coming into. We receive an idea, and then we begin to feel that energies of that growing inside of us. So, and yes, there's this active side for sure that needs to happen then as we get activated. But like, using myself as an example, I have these incredible receptive channels, and I get all of these creative ideas of things that I can do and offer because, so side note here, but my main love language is acts of service. So when I create things and programs and courses, and things that I do for my clients and for those that I work with, for my audience, I'm creating something because it's my act of love. It's my love offering. And that process is very feminine nature. And then what happens often for me is then there's this, okay, now I got to sell this thing. I got to make this thing work. I've got to, promote. I got to blah, blah, blah. And then I get into that very masculine energy. That energy of activating and getting something moving is really important. However, for me personally, if I'm going at it from more of that patriarchal masculine energy, I'm working against myself because of my resistance and experience of how that masculine energy can really start to feel an incredible amount of pressure, and it just has a hard edge to it. It has a really hard edge to it energetically. And I don't want to align to that because it's in complete conflict with my love language and also with the feminine energy of creation. So there's a place and a time, and certainly processes to get out and do these things and put things into motion. I'm so in support of that, and that's just necessary, right? But what I'm offering here is a different perception and trying this on around how is it that you can receive money? How is it that you can be in a place of receptivity and creativity around working with your money mindsets, your manifestation? It's kind of the classic thing, that kind of like, duh, a lot of the, new age and new thought and all of these systems of energy and thinking and spirituality have been saying for a long time. It's like, it's really about allowing things to happen. So I want to bring this also back to an energetically practical level because, that's how I like to roll. Even though, yes, there can be this manifestation and all can sound kind of woo-woo and out there, and what do you mean receive, and how do I just allow things to happen? And my answer to that question that you may be asking, that I ask myself, is about what is the energy I'm bringing to what I am building. So, like I said earlier, there are those times where it's definitely necessary, where we are in activation mode and bringing in that masculine doing. But when it comes to the calling in and the creation of the energy of being an entrepreneur or being somebody who is putting your work out into the world or your hopes and dreams around doing good work that makes you really happy because it's really your soul's genius and you feel aligned and alive, bringing this energy of that feminine love and nurturance to the process, I feel is absolutely essential to also your and my relationship with money. Money right now for me is a very feminine energy. And when I can relate to it as that, it feels so much more opening to me than that old paradigm I would resist of, oh, I've got to get it and I've got to save it and I've got to blah, 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 all of those things. Those things may be necessary, like sure, saving money and building, a security. Those things are absolutely necessary. But it's the energy. How do you begin with it? How do you start the relationship with it? So when I think of money and I think of materiality and the things and the dreams that I have and the things I want, I'm changing my energetic approach to money to be like a feminine, nurturing, mothering, loving type of energy. And I feel that that is a better relationship for me. And I offer this as a possibility for you, whether you're male or female, it really doesn't matter. So there's also this idea about beginning how you want things to end. And putting that intention first and foremost on this energy of love, on this energy of receptivity, I think naturally puts us in a place of openness and of hope, versus that really narrow kind of get mentality. So, and I also believe that because conscious business, because spiritually, energetically, emotionally inspired business people and leaders will do more good in the world with coming from this place of money being a nurturing thing that we can take care of not only ourselves, but also each other and the world and the environment with this more mothering-like energy when it comes to money. So women, the feminine energy naturally wants beauty, wants harmony, wants receptivity and creativity, wants a sense of things being working together and fostering this beautiful growth and taking care of things for future generations. So bringing that energy into our lives, into our relationship with money, and also into our businesses, if you happen to have a business, of not being the short-sightedness of what the patriarchy and the masculine approach to money and growth can be. But bringing in more of that kind of the queen energy, as like the leader of like being able to look at taking action, but nurturing the decision in a moment and of the moment, and then taking action and having that decision be something that you are looking at that's going to be positive and empowering and nurturing beyond just the moment. So I hope this is resonating and making some sense and useful for you. This is a very recent kind of epiphany for me. So I definitely, it's might be coming off a little bit as half-baked, but I felt the need to share this about money and materiality and how we go about allowing and attracting and creating an energy alignment with it. So if you have, like me, the resistance to that, patriarchal, history of what we have done to each other and to the planet and to animals and everything, particularly as empaths and sensitives. And I want to say one more point about that. But if you have any of that, this potentially, it would be a more loving and open relationship that you can have with your money, with yourself, acquiring wealth, and having that the harmonious, more nurturing relationship. So going back to this thing about, I said with empaths and sensitives, I know from all of the work that I've done with empaths and sensitives and from my own journey that there has been a resistance to this material world to a certain extent, because of feeling kind of like, well, I don't fit into the world, or having that sensitivity to seeing how the world is hurt by many of what people do with money and with wealth, and having a very tender sensitivity to that, and then in the process pushing away material wealth, pushing away the idea of wanting to have money, of wanting to be rich, that it's felt like it can feel like a mismatch. And I want to say that because you are an empath and sensitive, you have a really beautiful extra sensitivity to this relationship, to being able to manifest and bring in the security, the well-being, the creativity that you want in your life to be able to support you. And because of that heightened sensitivity, and please know, please trust yourself that as an empowered empath and sensitive, as somebody who has the resources, male or female, doesn't really matter, but when you have those resources, I know and trust that you will do amazing things, kind things, compassionate things, with that financial security, with that money. I know that that's my goal. So this whole idea of money and spirituality, or money and sensitivity or emotions, and energy not working together, is really like, we need to stop that mindset right now and step into a more empowered place, so that we, the spirituals, the sensitives, the ones who are, like they say, hashtag woke, can really empower ourselves and each other and those around us with the loving kindness, compassion, and creative and beautiful ways that we can use wealth and money in our lives, and also in the lives of those that we love. So this is so important. I feel everything, every cell of my body, every point of light in my field right now is like, let's do this. Let's become empowered, sensitive empaths, entrepreneurs, basing our growth in love and compassion, and using and attracting money for those wonderful purposes of love and of empathic and conscious business. Okay, thanks so much for listening. I know this is a deep dive topic and probably just scratching the surface, but I felt in my heart this was really necessary for me to speak on this today. I'm like, blah, 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 it's just bubbling up in me. So take wonderful, sweet care of yourself, physically, emotionally, financially, spiritually, and energetically. And you can subscribe to my channel here, as well as come on over to thesoultranslator.com or at the empoweredempathsoulcamp.com, and so that we can stay in touch, and you can get these videos and also private writings and newsletters that I share, and so much wealth, well-being, and joy to you.